What's up, boys and girls? Welcome back. We're here with Griffin Conine today, reminding you to hold it down in the fort when you are here. Hey, Griff. So I didn't get to it before, man, but really wanted to ask, not an obsession by any means, but Happy Gilmore, Shooter McGavin, where does the joke kind of come into play if it's an appropriate one to share?
Yeah, that was just I think with the Blue Jays was my first team with Tanner Kerwer and Nick Podkul, Davis Schneider. I don't know. We kind of for some reason we'd all seen it, and then it was on one day, and we were all watching it, and I don't know, we just got obsessed with it. Like we started ripping all the quotes all the time. Uh, and then since then it's become like probably my favorite comedy movie of all time. But yeah, we just we watched it so many times that first pro ball summer, and there's just so many good things in that movie. Yeah, I love putting the caption on Instagram with some Happy Gilmore showing some love. It's just an iconic movie, so one of our favorites.
Oh, dude, absolutely. And I mean, it brings me back to that is very early on in my childhood. One of the, oh man, this is one of the greatest movies ever discovered kind of thing
Yeah,
in my head, right? So like me and my buddies getting away with watching that. And, obviously Sandler's older now. He's got his iconic style that he has all the time. I'm always trying to look like him when I go in public, but
yeah, he's a
that
beast.
just to have that still so meaningful, and Shooter such an iconic villain is I love that
Yeah,
you got into that so hard.
yeah,
He's a real son of a
absolutely.
bitch. So then our next part where we're moving into, y'all, is I got the chance being a kid. I don't know if you know this about me, Griff, but I'm from Cooperstown, New York originally.
Oh wow.
So when I grew up, all the way until 2008, we used to have the Hall of Fame game. So two teams on their off day from the big leagues would come to Doubleday Field in Cooperstown. Don't know if you've ever been, but 290 to left and 312 to right. So absolute bandbox to put on
Good
a
hitters park.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, to put on a show for the fans. And they'd come out and they'd play an exhibition game. That was separate from the induction. So we used to get two big
Okay.
league teams. It was usually like an off day in May, and they'd sell the place out, have a home run derby, make a whole big event out of it. So
That's
I
awesome.
definitely I definitely saw Jeff play in Cooperstown at my first one ever. And I believe that I have an autograph from, it was on the Marlins team the year that they went to the World Series. You want to give me that? 2002, maybe, if that's
Three.
right. Three.
Close,
Okay,
close.
so
Yeah.
I got a Dontrell Willis autographed Marlins ball that I will
Oh,
keep
awesome.
forever.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone tried to give me $50 for it. And when you're a little guy, that means a lot. And you're like, oh, 50.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I'm hanging on to this, and I know that D Train was a hell of a guy. So
Yeah, he was.
definitely got to watch Jeff play. But where we're going with that is, so in 2008, I was a senior in high school, and you got to be a ball boy or a bat boy if you played varsity baseball for the Hall of Fame game. So we
Okay.
had the San Diego Padres came to town to play the Chicago Cubs, and we got rained out. So we got to
Oh,
just kind of sit in the dugouts, hang out with a lot of the guys. And I remember getting on the bus, and Trevor Hoffman was still closing for the Padres at the time, and
oh,
he
wow.
could he could have a whole podcast about him on his own, even from just
Yeah.
one time meeting him. But his kids were, I believe, 8, 10, and 12, or around there at the time, right? Pretty
Yeah.
pretty young, but super into baseball. I remember they had the first 3 rows on the bus were their rows of seats with Trev. Watching them throw from the outfield into, like, unbelievable. Could have played on our varsity baseball team at that time, right? 12-year-old
Yeah.
kind of just, wow, being around it every day. I don't think people understand that it's not that dads at this level are the best coaches, or like, hey, you got to hit just like you just let them watch, right? We let kids just watch, and like you can't help but look at that guy throw. I'm going to throw like that, right? We collectively gather that
Right.
behind the. I think there's so much perspective in, like, hey, yes, dad's a former big leaguer, but as a guy who grew up around it, take me through just some of the things that like, you remember from being a kid, some good experiences on the field. And do you feel like that helped you, one, like love the game? And two, where did it take you? We have friends in there still. Do we have role models who are out there? You know, take us back to the youth for a minute.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think like the clearest memories are probably like right towards the end of his career, retirement, and then he was obviously still very involved with the team those few years after, back when they were still at the Florida Marlins. So like the team I remember the most is probably like the Dan Ugla, Hanley Ramirez, Jorge Cantu, like that whole squad.
Wow.
Stanton was just coming up. They were yeah, they were stacked. Like they're
So
such a fun team
Yeah, Hanley
to
had a year where he
watch and
hit
be around.
40 bombs. He was like, they were
Yeah, batting
the balls.
title. They're all like pretty young. They're all up and coming. Like they didn't really put it together like postseason wise. Like they had some good years, but um that was like when I kind of because I was old enough. He retired in '07, so I was 10 years old. Um, and I was still like I wasn't a kid that grew up like fully loving baseball. Like obviously like it was a huge part of my life, and it was cool that like my dad never was saying like you gotta like come to the field or like you gotta like go hit. Some dads are crazy like that, and and he was always like didn't really care, to be
So
honest. Like he's like if you
much more hands off.
yeah, like he's like if you like it then go for it, but if not, like I'm not gonna force it on you. And I was like I fell into like skateboarding was my thing until like I was probably 14. Like that was all I wanted to do. And and like it just happened that
Were
like an
you were you
injury.
were you good at it?
I was good. Yeah. I will say like I was like I ollied a 12 stair once. That was like my record. That was like when I was 13. I was like into
Dude,
street skating.
we're hitting some real feels right now because that was my
Yeah.
passion too. So
Oh
that's
man, I still have a board. I still ride around all the time. It's so fun. But
I
I
I
don't really.
noticed I noticed and didn't want to bring it up for you said you've never gotten injured and we knocked on wood, but you found out that you couldn't kick flip anymore recently. Is that what it was? I'm sure you've been working on it a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, I did. I did end up landing one shortly
Yeah.
thereafter, but it took too much out of me to land it. That like I think I have to close the door on that side of things. I can't be launching downstairs anymore.
At least till
Um,
baseball's
at
over.
least yeah, then I'll get back to it. I'll have a late career resurgence. But yeah, like that was like all I wanted to do, and then kind of like an injury happened. Not playing skateboarding actually, just like separate. I was playing football, and then the sights just switched to baseball. That was like going into high school, and never really picked up the board again in a street skating sense of the word. And then from then on out, it was all baseball. But I think like um, Dan Uglo was always like a really cool guy. That was like, you wouldn't think so. You seemed like kind of like, very standoffish. I don't know. He's like, yeah, he's
His
jacked,
forearms are as big as your head, right?
kind of
Yeah.
intimidating. But like he gave me his cleats once when I was a kid. And it was funny because like I could wear his size cleat when I was like 15 because he was like a size 8. He was like a
he,
tiny foot, like
he
maybe
was
size
a
9.
he was a thick guy, but he was short, stocky,
Yeah,
second
he was a
base. Like
short,
he was.
stocky little. So he had like size 9 cleats that like I could wear when I was maybe in middle school. So they were like teal, like they were these bright teal Nikes. They were sick, but
Lisa
my team was
Russell.
like my team was maroon, so like I probably looked like an asshole because I was like decked out in these teal cleats. Hanley gave me like one of his gloves. He gave me a Wilson. He gave me a teal
Oh, come
Wilson
on.
glove. So like I was full like Marlins kid playing on the Western Rattlers, like, and to top it off, like I wasn't any good at that point, really. I was like the coach's
I'm
kid. Like,
all sizzle and no steak over here, boys.
yeah, I had a ton of sizzle. I'll give myself that. I was never like the swag god. Like I didn't wear sleeves or wrist tape anything until college, probably, but or high school. But I did have like I had like the teal swag for sure. And then that was kind of like that team was really cool because like they were I was there a lot. I was always shagging. Always wanted to be around. Stanton was super young coming up, but it was always cool to be around. And yeah, they dealt with me just running around the outfield and trying not to step on me probably. And I realize now, like if that was me and there was a kid out there, like I'm gonna be nice to him because like I was that kid. But at the same time, like I definitely know it's a nuisance in a way because like you're worrying about like you don't want to kill this kid. Like they're trying to get their work in, and I'm just like I was good about it. I wasn't like I wasn't like, I was pretty conscious of it because my dad obviously was like, hey, you got to watch out.
Yeah,
Like they're letting
dude,
you be out here,
they got
get
work
out
to
of their
do, man.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I'm sure there were times when they were kind of like, ah, Jesus, like this fucking
You're
kid
like,
gets in the
ball,
way
ball,
again.
ball, ball, ball.
Yeah, I'm like calling off Stanton, like, no, I got it. Let me get my work. So that was a cool time just because like they're all pretty young. I think that helped. Like that's why they were all super inviting. And they were just having a good time. And then I remember the summer in Cincinnati was cool because Griffey was there and he had a bunch of kids too that were all kind of like around the same age. So we hung out a lot and he was like a super cool, obviously iconic baseball figure. I got a picture with like him and Barry. Um, and when I was like full skater face, so I had like this like huge moppy hair.
Yeah,
And
that's
these two
awesome.
guys are on the side of me. They're probably just like, this kid, man, what is this kid doing?
What is this kid gonna do? Hey
What is
man,
he,
that
this skater boy? So
no,
yeah,
that
I
is
probably, dude, I didn't even like appreciate it too. That's the crazy thing. And now like I watch hours of video on both those guys. And like I would do anything to be in another picture with them. And at that time I was probably like, who are these guys? Like what
like,
are
Dad,
I
come
don't
on, we
care.
gotta take this, man.
He's yeah,
Oh
he
my
like
god.
forced it. He's like, no, you're gonna be so happy you have this later. I'm like, no, I won't. And like sure enough, like couldn't be like more thrilled, but probably wasn't that interested at the time.
No, that's all. You're like, can I bring my board, man? Come on,
Yeah,
man.
exactly. That's all I cared
Oh,
about.
that's dude, that takes me right back. And I know guys talk a lot about it, and hey, I got into weight training kind of late and like I actually went in the opposite direction of you. I was 140 pounds as a freshman, and I ended up a 280-pound senior in high school because I didn't touch the weight room any of those
Wow.
years. I got lucky enough that I went to a tryout in college and got kept and lost 100 pounds over a year. But like I
Yeah.
always go back to because like even now, right? I'm old now and I have the facility and I've got some of the pro and college guys there, and I'll get I throw probably 750 to 1,000 BP throws every day. I
Yeah.
can I can get my full split down. I can get my palms to the like these guys. How do you move like that? Like I get the jealousy. I'm nowhere near as strong as anybody. I couldn't do one 225-pound squat probably, but like these guys, how do you move like that? And I always go back to just wiping out on my skateboard and like the collective gathering of like, oh fuck, I'm gonna fall. And how do I not just splatter into the ground right now? Right.
Yeah.
I would say, where you were like, I wasn't very strong, I wasn't very serious in the weight room. Um, Being actually kind of serious about skateboarding, do you feel like that almost, when it came to my dad being like, hey, you got to dive for that, or something, I could roll things off. I learned things on the board that I feel like it wasn't baseball. It wasn't something that I could go squat and learn that from. Like this
Yeah.
was kick flipping a six stair and your board ends up vertical between your legs. And how are you going to fall and not
Yeah.
cut yourself in half? Right. So
Yeah.
did you feel like that, once you did get started, did you have kind of a good foundation, at least like for balance on your feet, for body control? Do you feel like it was kind of, do you ever look back and you're like, man, that was real helpful as a kid?
Sort of. Sort of. I think like I definitely um so like this off season I learned how to skate switch. That was my thing
Okay.
because a lot of that came with like working with teacher man and he's all about your back leg balance and like and learning how to control that. And I always skated on my right leg. And I pedal with my left. So I was
Okay.
goofy
Yep.
footed. So and then I was always like, damn, like I should have been a righty hitter because like that balance is rock solid. Like I
I
could
would be
ride
I'd
one
be
leg
so
on
good
that
at that side. Yep.
down a hill, but I started with my left leg and like I couldn't ride 10 feet before falling off. This was like 3 months ago. And yeah, you just stick at it and like you start to learn your balance points on the foot. And I think that really had a transfer over immediately just because like that was like a huge increase. Like we talk about the weightlifting, you're not going to see a big increase, but like that was like in 2 weeks I could ride, pretty normally. Um, and then after that, I went to hit with Teacher Man, and then I like exaggerated the hell out of like my load because I just like wanted to see like how long can I just load early and get up there and
And just
ride it out
yep,
just
just
for
kind of
fun. Like just
yep,
like
just
let's exaggerate it, let's see how much we can do. And he was pretty impressed by that. And I think that like definitely had a a crossover effect that I was hoping for. And um, I also noticed like some imbalances, like I'm doing sprint work, and my coach is kind of like noticing that one side I get like a better split between my legs, almost like my hips I can get more extension on one side, and I'm
Then
pretty
yep,
sure
yep.
that that's my pedal side because like that hip is always
Has
pedaling, and
the
every time you pedal, and I like to go fast, so like I'm aggressively pedaling this whole
oh yeah.
time, like years and years of it, and then never on the other side. So like now I have this imbalance where like my left leg can like drive really well. My right leg was always the plant, so like it never really could drive, and my left leg's my jump leg too. So like this left leg's like really good at driving, not as good at balance. This right leg's really good at balance, not as good at driving. So like now I'm kind of trying to reverse both those. I want this leg to be really good at balance. I want to get some drive on my right. Um, so these are just cool things that like you learn over the course. I never would have thought about it 3 years ago, and then I noticed like some feelings in my right leg, and I'm like, why is that feeling like that? And then I'm like, I skateboarded for 10 years of my life straight,
Yeah,
doing
just
only this one side move.
pushing that one side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just ripping it, and then the other side got nothing. And then like over time, like things turn into big differences. So I'm just working on closing the gap. It's all about closing the gap. But that was a
Absolutely. And
cool
that's
thing.
yeah, I mean, dude, that's so cool that like this, this off season where you're making those changes, right? Like swing wise, hey, I'm gonna really, be serious about it. Skating comes back in and is like,
Yeah,
hey, like I can help you out with that, right?
yeah,
So
this applies, right? It's cool.
I mean, it's huge, and it's like once again, like you get so far down a strength rabbit hole or so far down a certain direction, you're like, hey, we almost have more to undo to go back the right direction sometimes. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
talk and balance, like the lack of injury, right? Feeling 100% is our number one goal, no matter what we're doing:
yep,
baseball, soccer, skateboarding, just living life as an everyday person. So all right,
yeah.
dude. Last thing that we're gonna go through. I need coolest place that you guys lived while you guys were, while you were out there. And I want the coolest visitor clubhouse you ever went into. So like obviously you were in the Marlins one a lot, but did you ever roll into a visitor's clubhouse and just be like, dude, this place is the mecca. I've hit the jackpot, whether it was jelly beans or sandwich spread or just really cool guys who were in there. Where was the
Yeah,
coolest
yeah.
place to live, and then the coolest clubhouse we went into?
All right. Um, living. I mean, it might be boring, but I think like the home base right here is probably it. And like
Yep.
this has been it ever since I think '95. Like my dad started the
Oh, okay.
Marlins
So
in
I wasn't
'93.
I wasn't sure if you guys had bounced around at all. So we've been
Yeah,
we've been
pretty much.
hooked since you've been
Yeah,
been alive.
there was a summer like he was traded to Cincinnati in '06, and that was like during the summer that he got traded. So we went up there like for a whole summer. So like that was kind of like we lived in Baltimore when I was much younger. I don't think I'd put that as like a very cool place per se. He loved like Camden Yards is like his favorite stadium, but yeah, living there, I have very foggy memories. Kansas City before that, also don't remember.
A ton.
Cincinnati was a
Yep.
great summer. I had a blast there. That was really fun, and that's probably my answer for Clubhouse, just because like there was a lot of characters, man. We had Ken Griffey, Brandon Phillips, Adam
Wow.
Dunn, like all
Buffalo
these
guy.
great personalities. Yeah, yeah. So and they're all super cool too. There was a time where Adam Dunn and Ken Griffey, they hated my hair. And to be fair, it looked horrible. And they were not on board with the skater haircut, and they offered me like I think 2 grand to shave it. Like they're gonna shave my head
Wow.
just because they really wanted to. And I had no concept of money at this point and didn't feel like I needed it. And I felt like the hair was more important. So I told him to shove it. I said, no, no,
Oh
thanks.
man. You
And
are
I'm sure they
you
hated me.
cocky, arrogant little kid that you are.
At that point, like I think hair is for a skateboarder, like that's pretty much your whole identity. Like that's a very key aspect of like your image. So yeah, to me, I wouldn't have sold that for $1 million. I don't think at that point, and it looked so bad too. That's the crazy thing, but I didn't care. Like it was my hair, I was loving it. So like they love to joke around with me about that, and we had a blast there. It was fun.
Yeah, it's not my hair, man. It's my identity. It's who I am.
It's
Right? This is
everything.
everything right now. So, well, huge,
Exactly.
man. I mean, that is a great way to finish it up. I mean, dad finished up, right? And he's back in action. Is that right?
He
With the
is. Yeah.
Marlins now. So,
Yeah, he
do
is.
what kind of capacity do we see him? Do we hear from him? Do we get yelled at down the chain? How often do we end up hanging out with him once the season gets going?
It's hard to say. He's still kind of wondering himself. I think he's going to be working directly for the owner, Bruce Sherman,
Yep.
who I met in Pensacola. He actually came out and was in the clubhouse, came out to watch a couple games and introduced himself to a lot of us, which was very cool. My grandma actually met him on a beach in Naples randomly. He was wearing a pine
Wow.
crate. He was wearing my high school shirt. I guess his grandkids went there as well. So whatever,
No
small world. They
way.
got to talking. So I met him and we talked about that and yeah, he's going to kind of help. My dad's job title is kind of to help him bridge the gap and like become more involved in the baseball side of things. He doesn't have a big baseball background, but he wants to be more involved and understand what's going on and be able to deal with players a little better. So he's going to be in spring training. He'll be there for spring training and on the field in uniform, which he's very excited about. And then I think going forward, it'll kind of just be like a as needed basis.
No, but I mean, to put the uni back on, right, and be on the field in the dugout around,
Yeah,
like
that was
that
like
pro
probably that was the non-negotiable, I think, for him. Like he wanted that so bad, so that'll be cool.
you're going to give me my own locker and you're going to put my jersey in there with my name on it. And oh man, there's
Anything
no
else you
no
can?
feeling like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, huge man. Thank you again for jumping on with us. Obviously the memorabilia room back there is absolutely beautiful. I have some cameras set up around, but I got the Griff jersey in here hanging up back there.
Hey, let's go.
So
That's awesome.
we always have a piece of memorabilia that I usually do on the show, and that one will be our special feature after we're all done. So
Yeah, yeah,
thank you
awesome.
again for that, and shout out
Yeah, no
to
problem.
mom, Mrs. Conine, for getting that mailed out when we didn't get it before. So
Yeah, absolutely.
are you headed out for like lifting now? You got lifting this afternoon, you said, or are you all
Yeah, I'm
done?
at my house, my crib, so I'll probably just get up there around 4:30, start warming up and stuff, and then get after it.
Well, cool, man. Have some fun out there. Thank you again. And this is going to kind of roll us into the college baseball season. So you'll be right when those guys start hitting the road. Everybody's out there. We're gonna throw this out there, and you're gonna be
Awesome,
one of my first ones on. So thank you for working through some of the kinks
awesome,
that I've
dude.
got going on.
Yeah,
But
no problem. Had a
I mean,
blast.
we're expecting, probably 5, 10,000 people a week to be in on it. We've been really building some energy around it. And if you want to send me your address, I've got it's called Holding Down the Fort, and we've got these cutoffs that say hold it on it. It's got a nice arrow down. It's kind of funny, edgy for our high school boys who want to wear it to
Yeah,
their parties all the time.
yeah, yeah.
But I'll send you a hold it tank if you wanna shoot
Yeah,
me over.
absolutely. I'll DM you my address.
Absolute
Awesome.
all the best to mom, dad, Tuck. Thank you again. Have a
Thanks,
great day,
brother.
brother.
You too. Be in touch.